Hi everyone, welcome back. So today I'm gonna talk about a topic that I haven't really addressed, I think, on this channel. I'm gonna talk about what it's like to be a mental health advocate online. If you don't know me, hi, my name is Malika. I have been on Instagram for 5 years and on YouTube for 3 years. And I create awareness and educational content on self-harm, and I share my experience and others' experience with it. I made a presentation on this topic for a conference earlier this year, but I really wanted to make this into a YouTube video because I think more people should know about it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm gonna share 3 benefits and 3 difficulties. I'm gonna start with the difficulties, not because they are bigger than the benefits or because they are more important, not at all, just because this way I can share what I do to deal with those difficulties, because I think that's also a very important aspect to talk about. So like I said, let's start with the difficulties. My first difficulty as a mental health advocate online is how time-consuming it is. I think most people don't realize how time-consuming it is to create content for social media. Self-harm problems takes me anywhere between, I'd say, 5 to 20 hours a week, and where I am in that range on a specific week depends a lot on whether I'm posting a YouTube video, because editing takes a lot of time, and whether I am responding to DMs a lot or not. So how can you deal with that? Well, I have 2 advice that I can give. The first one is to set realistic expectations with yourself and with others of how often you post, what type of content you post, and this way you can avoid or at least lessen frustration. My second advice that I don't really take myself, but that is also a great option, is to work as a team, so this way the time commitment is kind of split between different people. So that's also something that you can do. My second biggest difficulty as a mental health advocate online is to deal with the censorship of social media platforms. This is something that I have talked about a lot, especially when it comes to Instagram. I have a whole playlist about this that I will link just here if you want to know more. But basically, talking about topics such as mental health and especially self-harm on social media is quite hard, because those aren't topics that social media will want you to talk about, and this is something that is considered as controversial, and this is something that will often get banned. For example, right now on Instagram, the self-harm hashtag is completely banned, so you cannot go up and search the hashtag self-harm. It's banned, it's blocked, you can't see it. And even as someone who has never violated Instagram's policy around self-harm, my account has been threatened to be taken down more times than I can count, and that really sucks. And that ties into my first point about it being so time-consuming, because we all know people who do that for a living, people who take that time commitment, but because it's their job. This is something that is very hard to do when you are talking about mental health, because your content will be flagged, because you're not going to attract sponsorships, because you're not going to get monetized on your videos on YouTube. I have never been paid for Selfharmer Problems, not once. I have never earned a dime from Selfharmer Problems. So it is a huge time commitment that you're most likely never gonna get paid for. And not only you're not gonna get paid for it, which is not the end of the world if you're not intending it to be a source of income, but aside from that, your content is gonna get flagged, it's not gonna be as visible, and it may be taken down for seemingly random reasons. So, with all those depressing news, how can you deal with that? Well, I think the only way to deal with that is to stay flexible with what you post and how you post it, when you post it, the type of hashtags you use. Sadly, this is the only thing you can do. You have to work with the regulations of the platforms you're using. And my last big difficulty when it comes to mental health online advocacy is the responsibility, the level of responsibility that it gives you. It comes in the fault of what people will ask of you and the responsibility it gives you to share good information. So the first part is that people will often ask of you things that you may not be equipped to deal with. People will often ask you to answer 24/7, to find solutions and answers to their problems when you don't know their situation. Sometimes people will consider you as their therapist, and I know those people don't have bad intentions. I don't blame them at all. I know mental health care, especially good mental health care, especially for self-harm, can be very hard to come by. So I know those people are probably in a desperate place, and I don't blame them at all. But this is a huge responsibility that it gives you, and you have to be very clear about what you can and what you can't do. The second fold of that responsibility, like I was saying earlier, is that you have to be very clear with yourself that for some people, you will be their only source of information on the topic you're talking about, in my case, on self-harm, because good information is hard to come by, because not everyone has the time to do their research. So how can you deal with that? My first answer is to set clear boundaries with yourself and with others around what you can and can't provide, and to redirect people to professional services, to crisis hotlines, to professionals around them, to their team that they already have, all of that. And my second advice is to make sure that you are sharing evidence-based, good quality information on the topic that you're talking about. So now that we have talked about the negatives, let's talk a bit about the positives, because there are also many of them. My first one is that online advocacy is probably the most accessible way to share awareness. Almost everyone has a phone, almost everyone has social media accounts. You don't need much training, you don't need a PhD, you just need a phone, and almost everyone has that. Online advocacy is also a great tool to promote community and to promote peer support. And if we're talking about self-harm, those things are very, very lacking. And online advocacy is a great way to share people's stories, to have people connect and all of that, which is a very important part of recovery in my opinion. The second point is that it can be very beneficial to your own recovery, at least it was to mine. Being able to share your story, to help others, and to get the sense that you're doing your part so others won't suffer the same way you did, gives you a deep sense of belonging that is extremely nice. And my last point is how rewarding it is. Of course, no one should go into any type of activity because of how rewarding it is, but this is a fact that you can't deny. Having an online media presence is very rewarding, and you will get nice messages and you will see the impact that you have directly, because people will tell you most of the time, which maybe isn't the case in every setting, but when you're online, people can DM you, people can leave comments, and you can have this back and forth interaction. And this interaction is also a huge positive in my opinion. So here is my experience on being an online mental health advocate for self-harm. If anyone else wants to leave their experience in the comments, I will love to read your experience as well. As usual, if you want to chat with me, you can hit me up on Instagram, link is in the description. As always, I answer every DM I get, and I will see you very soon.